missed you too.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
How is life outside?
life is awesome here in Kenya.
Ah, that's good. I hope
Awesome.
you guys are safe and
Yes,
everything is settled now.
we are doing good now.
Ah, that's good. We thank God for you guys.
Yes. Let us start
Okay.
with this topic. It was suggested again by one of us. I don't know who it was. It was anonymous. Okay, this is the last episode for this season. Anyway, we'll come to that later. When it was suggested, I was like, this is just another conversation that we'll have. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be chilled. Until today, I started, not today, yeah, this week, I started looking at abandonment and the whole of it. And I've just realized this season we've done a lot of trauma conversations. We had the childhood trauma that was by Rono, and then we had the sexual trauma by Paris. So I am honored for us to be talking about dealing with abandonment. Well, abandonment causes trauma, so I guess it's all related. So we are so honored. Sam, zima camera. Then I introduce you, then you washa it. The
Okay.
effects. Awesome. So, so we are glad. We are honored to have the awesome Sam with us today. I only know that one name. Please don't butcher me. And he is a certified counselor. I told him to send me his bio, and he sent me the bio. You know the bio that you send your employer? That one. I was like, hey, you're a serious human being. So he's a counselor. He has previously worked at Shamiri Institute. I love Shamiri Institute. They major with youths and teens in high schools. So as a clinical supervisor, and he's currently an associate therapist at Games for Mental Health. If you know Games for Mental Health, you are a good Kenyan and we love you. You are invested in mental health conversations. They're really doing a dope job. I told him that was not the bio I was looking for. So he sent me, who is Sam? So Sam is a mental health advocate who loves cycling and spending time in nature. I feel like all our therapists are just nature people, and we appreciate you and we love you so much. He is into deep conversations that spark a light, especially on controversial issues. And we are so honored to drink from his cup of knowledge. He's a wise man. The person who recommended him is a wise lady. So wise begets wise, I guess. That's a statement I've come up with. So let's put our heads together for the incredible, the awesome Sam. Please, let's clap.
Thank you for the introduction. Ta-da! Um,
Reveal. Yay.
so yeah, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today. It's actually an honor to have this space to talk about the various issues. Yeah. So without further ado, I think she has already said most of who Sam is. Yeah, so I'm Sam, and I'm a counselor, and today I will be talking about abandonment, maybe things that encompass abandonment. So I'll just go over it, just have an overview of what we'll be doing today. So for today, we'll be defining what abandonment is, the different types of abandonment, how it manifests. This is what you can see or what you can hear or what the people going through abandonment portray. Um, and then we have mitigating factors. These are maybe some ways one can be able to handle rejection or abandonment or rejection also. And also maybe ways you can help a friend or help someone who's going through the same. And then we'll have like takeaways that you can go with, or a summary that you can follow up through to kind of make it easier to identify the different cues. um so yeah, abandonment. I think I integrated different ideologies from different sources, and I came up with this definition. So it is the act of leaving someone or something behind for like a very substantial amount of time, often in a way that is sudden, ama without proper notice, care, or support. So like, even a dog, you can leave a dog, you can abandon a dog like a pet, you can abandon maybe a partner, you can abandon a friend, abandon family, maybe your kid, something of the sort. You can also abandon your job. So this encompasses the different aspects of life in general. So that for me kind of really took abandonment on a whole wider scale. So the different types, it comes in different ways. So I had four major ways. There are four major ways that maybe people can go through abandonment. So one is physical abandonment. This is where someone physically leaves, or deserts maybe their place, ama leaves the child without proper care, ama an adult leaves the family setup without notice. So this is without notice, like una left to unaenda tu, you're just going. um and then there's emotional abandonment. So this is more deeper. This is um basically where someone is present physically, but the feelings they put out kind of portray neglection, ama you feel ignored, or they don't support you emotionally. Like when you have a partner but they aren't there to support maybe your business, ama you have a friend who doesn't maybe support what you nini you're going through, or maybe you had some issues with maybe a bit of your family, so you feel like there is that disparity. Then social abandonment. Basically, this is like exclusion or isolation from a social group. Like if you have friends who usually hanged out with maybe a while ago, but right now you aren't, a community where you are discriminated against because of your traits. Maybe it's because of your personality, or maybe something you did, or something that doesn't align to maybe their way of life, ama their view of life. Or support network, maybe someone in your family, who is close to you, um, literally stops talking to you because of 1 2 issues. And then there is self abandonment. So this one was quite kidogo, I didn't get it, but this is how I understood it. So it's kind of ni kama you don't really take care of yourself, and then you kind of displace that with taking care of others. So like ni kama unajinyima, and then una give other people more input in terms of their needs, ama in terms of their well-being, so you aren't really taking care of yourself. So like, yeah, that's how we put it, ni kujinyima ndo you give to others. So literally those are the four major types of abandonment. So kuna physical, emotional, social, and self abandonment. So yeah, typically that's the major, but kuna outliers obviously. um how does it manifest? um how can you be able to track it? If say you are in a social context, or you have a friend who you feel like is going through that rejection phase, ama is going through some form of detachment. So there are 5 ways. There are 4 ways. Let me put it 4 ways, because the other one for children is kind of a little bit inclined to the 4 above. So there is emotional manifestations, behavioral, physical, and social. So like just the types, there is also like they correlate to each other. So kama msi ana go through some emotional abandonment, kutakuwa bado na emotional manifestations, and maybe behavioral or physical. So kuna venye ziko intertwined or correlated. And then how can you spot this in children? Because most of their symptoms sometimes, or the issues that come with rejection and abandonment, zinanzaga from the previous stages of, like the primary stages of development. So in children, what can you do to kind of alleviate it coming back into adulthood? So I'll start with emotional, just to get a perspective. So you can be able to notice like, um, kuna self-worth issues, like low self-esteem, like they aren't really aware of their self, so anajidoubt. So if it's a task you're doing, there's always that pessimism in terms of their capabilities, their abilities. So kind of that recurrent self-esteem issue, inaweza patiana an idea of manifestation of abandonment. Then there is trust, trust issues. This is like not really struggling to trust others, but struggling to even trust yourself. So you can be able to like struggle to trust yourself, to trust others, because maybe you went through a traumatic experience, or maybe someone neglected you when maybe you are in need of them most, so you are not able to trust other people. So like ni kama una displace a mistrust to other people. And then it can also come in form of anxiety. So it comes in different ways. So mse anaweza kuwa na fear ya kuwa left alone, like again, maybe you are left ama uli heartbreakiwa at one particular point in time, so uko like, um I have that fear. Even if I'm in a relationship, I have that fear of being left, so there is constant fear. And then on the flip side, kuna fear of intimacy, like after you've gone through that experience, you don't want to experience that again. So you'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to get into maybe intimate relationships, I don't want to get into personal relationship with other people. So you kind of cut people off. And then there's a form of over dependence, because uko like you're trying to cling on to that someone for validation, so you're over dependent on them, and kind of you don't have that self evaluation to see maybe the things that they aren't doing, ama to see the things that you're doing that might lead you to be, okay, quote unquote, uh, kutumiwa vibaya, so being used, or maybe being abused to some extent. So kind of having, kuna dependence na kuna over dependence, so it kind of escalates to over, because maybe you can't like do things on your own, you can't be alone, you can't have alone time, so you're always with them. And then this pours into depression, where kuna hopelessness, kuna isolation, na kuna unworthy feelings of love, of not being able to love. So this is kind of where people like isolate kabisa, and they don't have anything to look forward to, and they don't feel like anyone feels them, ama anyone can be able to understand them. So yeah, that's emotional. And then kuna behavioral. So this is how maybe emotional can manifest. This is how you can view the emotional, now manifestations, because emotional is more psychological, but in a manifest in behaviors that people do. So you just looking at the patterns people have compared to what they had before. So kama kuna inconsistency, maybe it's because they are trying to detach. So this is kind of um, removing yourself from relationships, ama from situations that may need um, intimate, ama intimate connections, and also like family connections, of course, even friendships. So kuna hiyo detachment. Then on the flip side, kuna kuwa clingy. So this is trying to get constant validation. Like someone can't be able to validate themselves, so they try to seek it from outside. And then there is self sabotage. This is basically where like unajiambia, how do I put it? It's a self proclaimed, jamani, proclaimed prophecy, where you see that, okay, it hasn't happened yet, but unaona ni kama haitawak, ama unafeel ni kama haitawak, maybe because of um maladaptive thought processes ama negative beliefs. So this is you end maybe relationships ama connections before they get to a deeper level. So una cut off to just when it starts getting a little bit deeper. And then this also goes hand in hand with promiscuity, so short term or superficial relationships. So kuna flings, situationships, something of the sort. So they kind of align to that ideology. And then kuna substance use. um, this can be abuse of alcohol or any other drugs that haven't been you know that have like an effect on how you think, how you feel. So kind of trying to cope with it, like you using drugs to cope. Na in a way kind of, inaweza get intense to such a point that you're not able to even perform in work spaces, or maybe even do something to take care of yourself. So yeah, that's behavioral. um, then kuna physical. So this is kind of maybe the internal um, symptoms that one may express. So kuna sleep disturbances. So there is insomnia. Insomnia is having little sleep, minimal sleep. Then there is hypersomnia, where someone is sleeping for way too long over time. And easy patterns you can be able to track when you have maybe like sleeping patterns. Maybe you usually sleep at 10:30, you wake up at 6:30, and then maybe you find that you're sleeping way deep into the night, like 2 3 there, and then waking up like at 6:30 the same time. So try to identify the patterns. Same goes for hypersomnia. And then nightmares can be manifestations of your fears or your anxieties, um, trying to come up from the subconscious. And like you haven't ni kama okay, there are different people who say different things about dreams and stuff. So one thing is, dreams sometimes are maybe manifestations that come up to you when you're in your subconscious. So try to, identify these patterns to be able to, see where it is stemming from. Symptoms of anxiety. So this can be like a racing heart, sweating and trembling. This hasn't been caused by any triggering effect. The symptoms of anxiety, like inakuja tu, um, just like ile kushtuka, you're just gasping. Those are some ways that maybe something is happening that you haven't addressed in terms of the issue of abandonment. And then there are other chronic health issues, like continuous headaches, high blood pressure, or even having a weak immunity. So this comes under the how do I put it, psychosomatic issues, where like ni kama hakuna a sickness but you're feeling sick. That's how I can put it. Like there isn't like a defined sickness, but you're experiencing symptoms of a sickness. So that's how they can manifest physically. And then to the social manifestation. So this is more from how you relate with people, ama how someone who is going through the same is relating with people. So there's isolation, like we said, it's just social withdrawal, um, overcompensation. So this is more of like, because I feel this way. Ushaipata someone is treating you so much, makoko like, okay, what's up? Why are you? Even if their love language is gift giving, but you find that like it's concurrent, like they are overly doing it, they wanazi overdo, you get. So they kind of overly accommodative, try to please everyone, try to be at good vibes with everyone, so that wasifeel ni kama wanakuwa rejected. So ndio ni kama, how do I put it, it's like they are bribing you not to reject them. That's how to put it. So that overcompensation is something also that you can maybe identify, maybe in a friend, or maybe in a lover, or maybe in a family friend. um yeah, you can just identify those overcompensation, and then you go like, hey, what's up, just fuck it up. And then there's difficulty maintaining relationships. um So maybe the thing is kuna a lot of mistrust, one, kuna a lot of self-doubt, and then you haven't really addressed the issues as someone who has gone through concurrent abandonment or rejection. So you can one can be able to see themselves as not being worthy of being in a relationship, or try to deviate from healthy relationships to ones that feel more comfortable, or ones that won't feel like kuna hiyo attachment. So like kuna maybe they'll engage in flings, or maybe just try to identify maybe someone who isn't for marriage, something of the sort, like long-term relationships. They're just short-term, so ni low maintenance. So yeah, basically those are the four major ones. So kuna ST, emotional, which deals with the above, behavioral, physical, and social. Now to children, um, it can occur because of various issues, because of various environments, and because of various parenting styles. And in children, um, I saw that it's better to do it like into the two categories. So kuna the separation anxiety. So this is where, like, when you leave a child, they either have an insecure attachment style, or you feel like either wanakuwa na tantrum so much, or they're just okay, like even when their parents aren't there, like they are very like it's not in the norm. Yeah, so they kind of have an insecure attachment. And there are three insecure attachment styles: one, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. So for anxious, I'll just state where it comes from and how it manifests. So it's from parents being inconsistent in their responsiveness. So like a cold, anakuwa cold, and then they become warm. That shift kind of hawako sure what will happen. I don't know if I did this wrong or if I did this right. So like they aren't sure, because kuna that divergent responsiveness. Then there's avoidant. So this is where the parent or the caregiver is not emotionally available. So like hapatiani maybe the strengths that this child has, doesn't bring up maybe the achievement, doesn't acknowledge um, whether this person has done well. Unapata maybe someone has strived to be maybe top 10, na amefika even to the top 3, but the parent isn't even congratulating them on the same. So you can find that they get a lot of criticism even when they do good. So they kind of wanakuwa self independent, they become now dependent on themselves, so they try to just avoid um any attachments, because they feel like no one will validate them, of course, and no one will recognize their input, or no one feels them the way they want to be felt. And then there's disorganized. So this is also like ni similar to anxious, but this is from a source of fear or trauma. So the caregiver is the one taking care of them, but also yeye ndo anafaa kuwa their source of safety, but ndio ana bring up these traumatic experiences. So this can be from child abuse, being made to work, some of the, and this they don't really know how to approach life, because they feel like there is a lot of trauma and they haven't really addressed it. And it usually manifests through maybe trauma bonding when they become adults. So after, like I said, people may manifest this through identifying someone who might be a trauma bonding individual to them. So anatafuta maybe someone who is similar to the one perpetrating the act when they were a kid. And then there is behavioral issues. This is typically just acting out. They can become aggressive, or regress back to maybe their previous stages of development. Maybe someone is in class 7, but is bedwetting, or is sucking their thumb, something of the sort. They isolate, attention seeking, so they kind of want to be out there, people to see them, people to feel them. Hypervigilance, where they are overly insecure about what is happening, ama they are very like alert in terms of what is happening in their environment. A lot of self-blame, risky behavior. That's when maybe you start maybe noticing kuna some drug use among teenagers, or sexual behaviors. And then there is parentification. This is where the child anakuwa ni kama the caregiver to the other siblings, so they take up the role of their parent in that family dynamic. So yeah, I've really talked, guy. So yeah, so those are the manifestations. I was told up I have like up until 8:30 na now naishafika, so I'll just go through over the mitigating factors real quick, and then maybe you can now enter the conversation for the Q&As and whatnot. um so yeah, mitigating factors. How can you be able to help someone deal with these issues? um one um One of the basic fundamentals of abandonment is self-awareness and self-esteem. So kind of help them to notice the different things happening in their life, try to maybe identify what values they have, what goals they have about life, affirming their efforts, and kind of also improving on their self-care routines, positive self-care routines, also like just to create an awareness of this is happening and this is how I can take care of myself. And then this goes hand in hand with coping skills, where you can do mindfulness. This is activities like deep breathing, just to bring you back to the moment, yoga, meditation, just to bring you back to the moment and kind of, you know, ground you to what is really happening. And then having self-compassion. This is where whereby you don't really critique yourself, Sana. You just self-loving. You're kind to yourself. You appreciate that. Yeah, mistakes do happen, and then you kind of build that compassion for yourself. And then there's journaling. Journaling, you can do it maybe on a weekly or on the daily, depending on how much this person is into writing, of course. So journaling is just um, putting your emotions on paper. Yeah. And then trying to identify these patterns. Ni mzuri sana ya kuidentify the patterns. And then um, help them build healthier relationships. um, by this, it means that one, you'll have to establish trust between you and them, and also set healthy boundaries. So if you're able to tell them no, and then you show them, like unakuwa a model to them, uh, in terms of how you relate to them. Caesar. Yeah. Okay. So like una establish that trust so they can be able to emulate from you and also build other relationships outside of their cocoon. So kind of even saying no is a way of them building their capacity to be, confident and trustful. And then address underlying issues. So like I said, kuna trauma bonding na kuna trauma healing. So kind of if you have a friend maybe ume notice, unajua saa zingine we maybe if I'm the one going through the same, maybe star notice, you know, but maybe someone else might see and then ako like, hey bro, hapa kuna ka pattern, so umekuwa uki engage in, you know, different ways that is gonna give trauma bonding. So maybe it's just a me thing that I'm not able to see. So kind of objectifying it inaweza wasaidia ku identify, and then try to help them reframe their experiences. So wasione like it's a do or die situation, or it's something that is not changeable. Change is constant. So like try to make them feel that the experience that they go through ama they had gone through zinaweza kuwa brought out in a different narrative, so kind of helping them create a narrative for themselves. And then, like I said, be a support system for them. Or even if it's you who is going through the same, you can engage in volunteer work. This kind of puts you out there, like inakusaidia hata ku network. And yeah, you can be able to get different insights and views on the same. And then supportive relationships, this is where maybe one has a close friend or a close family who really puts their foot forward to help them address the issues ama address rejection in general. And then gradual exposure to fears. um ndatumia yangu ya kuswim. I really okay, sikuwa naogopa maji, nilikuwa naogopa kukunywa maji. So I think being out there and kind of putting myself in that situation helped me gain the courage to kind of dive in and just follow through. And this gradual exposure ni a step at a time. Usianze tu from the top, just take those baby steps. If maybe you aren't the one to have alone time, you kind of cling, or if it's someone clings all the time, you can just give them alone time just to have that independence of sorts. And then kind of build trust with each step. If they haven't really given people trust, you kind of build trust from maybe the close family, friends, ikienda hivyo, and up to maybe strangers, yeah. So wow. Now to the final section of the day. Kind of these are the key takeaways that I had for today. Something to help those going through, or those who are close to people who are going through abandonment. um so one, if you feel like someone close to you is going through it, be a good listener. Be not judgmental, just listen to what they have to say. Sometimes you're talking it out really takes a chunk of the baggage from what they're going through, and they're able to, like wakiongea, they are able to identify the pattern. Sometimes just being audible about it kind of helps create insight. And then be mindful of triggers. This goes both ways. If you're the friend or the family, you can be able to identify, nikiambia umse vitu fulani, like let's say no, if I'm able to tell them no to maybe a situation that they need help on, it our trigger could feel like umse like hayuko with me. And even the same goes for the one going through it. You can just identify maybe triggers or the patterns that lead up to the feelings of abandonment, and kind of work on it together with a support system. And then kuna healthy boundaries. This is whereby you are able to be assertive enough but also accommodative enough of other people's needs, and also of your needs. Ndio usiji overwork when you are trying to achieve other people's needs. And then there's emotional support. This goes a long way. Having a shoulder to lean on goes a long way in kind of creating a sense of warmth and a sense of trust in other individuals. And then kuna healthy coping, so you can be able to take care of yourself. Routines, having something to look forward to, and also challenging limits, challenging your limiting beliefs. So this is where you create a narrative that is positive and optimistic in terms of, okay, maybe the goals that you have, or maybe the achievements that you want to make in the near future. And then social connectedness, just to create a sense of belonging, and also a sense of feeling that you're worthy to be somewhere and around the people that matter to you most. And then create a safe and trusting environment. So like I said, at times environment is like a major issue when it comes to abandonment, because maybe ilianza from when they were a child and imekuwa iki come up in different contexts, in different situations. So kind of just um, create a safe space for them, and also create a safe space if you're going through abandonment, for you to feel like, you can be able to trust people and also trust yourself to be at a place where you're able to take care of yourself. And that's all I had for today. And yeah, I'm hoping for a great interactive session ahead. Thank you.
Guys, why are we not clapping? Yes, thank you. That was such a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Thank you, Sam. Why are you switching off your camera, Sam? I want to give you your
Oh,
flowers. I want to give you your flowers and I'm seeing you.
okay, okay, Nico.
That was such a beautiful conversation. Let me tell you, you have called me out in 100 ways. And I'm just like, oh, okay, okay, Marvin, okay. You have, I obviously, one thing about these conversations is I always leave with the thought of, oh, I have something to work on. So I hope I'm not the only one who has something to work on this conversation. Anyway, it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, you could leave it in the chat box. If you have a comment, you could lift up your hand. Okay, even if you have a question. Even if you have a question, you can lift up your hand. Let's start engaging. Let's start having the conversation. But before then, there's a question that was asked. Okay, anyway, let me just ask the way it is. So this babe, why am I paraphrasing her question? But she was abandoned by her dad at a very young age. So she's asking, how does she deal with that? Because now she's having a hard time getting into a relationship. Sam?
So yeah, thank you for the question. So if I get you correctly, she was abandoned by the dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, One could be trying to understand the context in which maybe abandonment happened. That can be able to give us a little bit of more insight. Um, Two is kind of also being empathetic. Ni empathetic, yeah,
Yeah,
being empathetic about, okay, maybe I know it's kind of odd, but trying to look at it from the dad's perspective, maybe get a picture of what might have happened, or maybe ask maybe the mom, if they are together, that is, what happened, just to get a little bit of insight from someone who is had gone through that phase on an objective view. And then for her, one, be easy on yourself. That's always what I say. Just be easy on yourself, and kind of affirm that maybe whatever happened, okay, in terms of if they believe in fate, of course, the universe works in different ways, and some things aren't really, we wouldn't wish for them, so no, but
yeah,
some things do happen, and try to be affirmative of maybe the choices that you make. Try to identify the things that you can be able to control. Maybe hizo emotions that usually come up, how can you be able to identify these emotions? Maybe is it something that you can talk to someone about? Is it something you can write and reflect upon? So trying to have an emotional balance. And then self-care routines, just to get a gist, how has it affected how you interact with people, and how has it affected how you take care of yourself? If that is something you're going through, amani, something that is affecting your day-to-day livelihood, how can you be able to handle it? If it's something that is more deeper, you can also seek professional help, just to identify underlying issues. Try to identify maybe some things that you feel like you hadn't really addressed, that maybe came up from that abandonment. Unajua sometimes kuna hii kitu tunaitanga aje, I forget the term, but ni kama umesahau, repressing you have
Mm.
repressed those memories because at that particular point in time, they really hurt your feelings and they really affected how you felt. That your mind kind of, in order to protect you, it can create that defense that, okay, I won't even think about it anymore. I'll just shut it in a closet somewhere in my brain cells and then, clean it up. So trying to identify those patterns, because sometimes they come from, like I said, inaweza kwa you have a nightmare or you have these sleep disturbances, but si ati ni hizo zina manifest, ni something deeper that maybe you haven't addressed and is coming up in a different way. Unajua, sometimes the brain works in miraculous ways. So, but generally, just try to identify your patterns, that you feel like, okay, kuna some vibes they're giving me that, maybe I need to address. So kind of having a reflection and try to find an objective perspective, like talk to someone about it, especially someone you trust. And also, if it's possible, talk to the mom, or even if it's possible, just try to identify what happened, just to get a gist of the whole situation. But
Okay.
I'm welcome to more perspectives. Unajua, sometimes brainstorming is good to get different inputs.
I can see B has joined us and she's already asking for the PowerPoint. B, relaxy, relax. Karibu sana. So anyway, let me. Oh, okay. Paul is asking if he can get the sexual healing webinar. It's on my YouTube channel. It's there. I'm gonna share a link on my Insta stories. And then Kavalaji, guys, please let us lift up our hand. This is not a Sam me conversation. If you have a question, please lift up your hand. I will ask for Kavalaji this question, but let's have this question and then Mary Wamboy. Really dope presentation, Sam. Hapo kwa boundaries. How can we establish healthy boundaries without it feeling like we are pushing people around us away?
Start small. Start small. I always say some boundaries begin with a no. I
Okay.
can't be able to do that. And sometimes, um, people know that, maybe let me use myself as an example. Um, Nikikwambia sitatokea because I have something else important to me. I know I'm balancing maybe time with friends and time with family or time at work. I'm balancing this with these various things. So if I tell you I won't be able to make it, sometimes just that no, I won't be able to make it. Um, Sometimes hata si lazima explain. It kind of builds that confidence to be able to like handle major issues. So start small. Two, be assertive. Wambia to, hey, by the way, guys, I feel like communicate your needs, communicate, your limits, whatever you're doing, just be open about it. And ndio pia wasione ni kama like unawachorea or reject. Sometimes just be open about it. And then the other thing I've noticed is, okay, they may, kuna wale marafiki tu atakuwa push you got, so like kind of build that um assertiveness to a point where you feel like hautajiblame for not, hautakuwa na fear of missing out. So also work on your assertive resilience and also confidence in decision making. Try to identify what is within your control, your reactions, how you'll feel about it afterwards, and how you can be able to deal with it on your own personal level, and also be accommodative of what others might feel. So just try to be empathic enough but also assertive enough, so ni ako ka balance. Yeah, thank you.
I have a question about that, but let's go to Mary first. Oh, okay. I have a question on that, but let's go to Mary first. Mary Wamboy, hi.
Okay.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I have a question to you, Sam. Thank you for the nice presentation. I'm learning quite a lot. So on my first question, what role does self-compassion? Because I think you kind of alluded to it when you were talking about the mitigating ways we can mitigate abandonment. So what role
Mhm.
does self-compassion play in healing from self abandonment? And how can someone set healthy boundaries to avoid self-abandonment in relationships?
Okay, so okay, thank you for that question. Self compassion. One, how it helps is kind of affirming your capabilities and affirming your decisions that you make, and also looking at it from a point of, okay, maybe I fell, maybe I I I I I chomad somewhere, or maybe I went through something that I feel like I didn't deserve it. Sometimes just having that nature of telling yourself, okay, this happened. It usually happens maybe sometimes, but I can be able to be kind to myself. I won't be really harsh on myself. It creates a sense of safety. One, it creates a safety that you can be able to be safe and open about maybe the things you're going through in a way that you aren't really critical, or you don't criticize your choices, but you see hurdles as, you know, challenges that can be overcome, and not as something that is meant to stop you. So it's kind of helping you create that resilience in yourself that, okay, even though I'm going through this, I can be able to maybe work on these other different issues. Or let's say, let me put it as an example. um tuseme you had to call a friend because they made you feel like uh, kuna a sense of, how do I put it, mistrust. So alienda akasema something bad about you, no, and now you're feeling like ni kama wamekuchorea, they really abandoned you in that situation. One, you can be positive about yourself and try to identify maybe what is it that makes me feel like I'm not that person they were talking about. Maybe let's say ulikuwa kazi, then they went and chomad to your CEO or something of the sort. So one is kind of be kind to yourself. Maybe you may lose job to your story. Just be kind to yourself and tell yourself that, okay, maybe this happened, but I'll be able to come out of it. I'll be able to, having that positive self-talk in affirm your decisions. Okay, I did this, but mistakes do happen. I'll just dust myself. I'm positive that I'll find something better to do in the coming days. I'll be able to go to maybe some other workplace. I'll be able to, just having that self-compassion, itakuwa a driving force to, overcome the challenges that you face. And then in terms of setting healthy boundaries, in terms of relationships, one, it can be a source of setting your expectations right, and making people aware of, this is what I can do, this is what I'm willing to do, and this is what I can't do. So juu huyu mtu already ashapata like a perspective of who you are, it makes them know, align to your values, align to your ethical codes, align to, if it's a job, align to maybe the company, in a way that they also appreciate what you're bringing to them in the relationship. So one, ni ina put things forward as they are. This is me, and this is what I have to offer. Sometimes boundaries can be very harsh, but if that's what will take care of you in the long run, um, I would rather you communicate them prior, so that kusikwe na like, oh, hukuniambia, and now that's when you're telling me when you're already deep into the relationship. So kind of identifying the patterns, ndio kama I left mapema, siko baya, but if it doesn't work to their expectations, if it's possible to be open about it, it creates a point where you are open and intentional. So no, like if something is off, you can be able to mitigate it before even it gets deeper, and before the consequences are dire.
Mary, has your question been answered? Awesome. Kavalaji, has your question been answered?
Yeah, yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome. Anyone else who has a question? Anyone else? Anyone else? There was something that's the question that Kavalaji had asked.
Mhm.
You know, after you set boundaries with someone, there's a feeling of, especially if you are afraid of losing them. We tend to tolerate a lot of lack of a better word, bullshit. So
Yes.
in that season, how do we avoid feeling guilty for setting boundaries? So, for example, the relationship might be long overgone, like it has been months, years, and now you're like, now I have to set boundaries. But you're like, what if I set boundaries and they leave? How do you deal with that?
Uh, um, me wambia watu one thing. Even if you come to me for therapy, I'll ask you, what do you need most? Like, what's the most need? One, is it taking care of yourself? If it's taking care of yourself, sometimes change is very difficult. And sometimes you have to be aware of, okay, you know that person. If ni relationship mmekuwa nayo for months or years, you obviously have an idea of what might happen. So try to, maybe mi naambiaga mtu fanya analysis, try to identify what will be the greater good, what will be the greater good, and what will create a sense of, meeting your needs. And this, I mean, needs, see, wants, like, is those superficial stuff. What do you need? Like in a relationship, maybe you need that intimacy, and maybe you need to feel like you're being heard, but what you want is not to get the truth. You see, so kuna disparity between what you want and what you need. So trying to identify the needs that you have for the relationship, and one, just communicate. Hata jua, if maybe that's something they saw, and put it out there. You see, if you don't talk about it, you will never address it. So take the leap of faith, and if it's something, you warm them up. See, ati unakuja unambombard, hey yo, I've seen this. Just take it slowly, a step at a time. Like I said, just a step at a time. Face it as it is, and communicate about it in a way that one is empathetic, but also aligns to what you feel you need in the relationship. So just slowly warm up to it. See, sijui utaisema aje, but you know how maybe partners or family members, people who you've been close to, wanna react. So like you try to, come, unakuja tu pole pole. Yeah.
Okay. My last question. Okay. I can see Sharon has said, I think understanding that setting boundaries is not selfish, but a form of self love can help with dealing with the guilt. Very accurate, Sharon. I think when you know that you're doing it for the greater good, it makes the burden a little bit lighter. Someone Nerito has said, ukishasikia mtu ameanza na mi huambia watu kitu moja. It's about to go down. Anyway, that's on a light note. My non-Kenyan people, I am sorry. That's a Kenyan joke. I don't know how I can explain it. But yeah, my last question, because people are not lifting up their hands, and the way we have brought some to you today, you're missing. But how do you deal with someone you know caused the abandonment issue, quote unquote?
Oh, so like sasa ni on the flip side.
Yay.
Um, hmm. Sorry for that. So for me, what I will do, this is how I would go about it. One, you know, sometimes humor kind of alleviates the seriousness of the situations for a while, and then creates room for, talking about it on a deeper level. So like you can just identify maybe something to break the ice, in a way that they'll be comfortable talking about it. And also, don't be judgy. You never know why they did the same. Maybe they came from a point of taking care of themselves also. So don't be judgy. And empathy, like just try to understand where they're coming from, in terms of, what happened. Listen to their side of the story, just get a chunk of what might have happened, and also affirm that, you just want to get as honest as possible, and kind of also, maybe kama ni mtu ni beshte yako, you are in between two friends, mmoja ni ameachwa, mmoja ni ameachana, so you're kind of like hapo in between. You can be able to, you know identify the pattern that is happening. So just try to get a gist of what happened, and also maybe just ask what happened. Uliza tu, like sometimes they want to talk about it, labda pia yeye alifeel some form of abandonment when they, because sometimes it comes from the self. Maybe sasa yeye aliabandon the needs, abandon their self-care. So it can also be a form of trying to cope with it, so abandon the whole thing. So just try to understand them from where they're coming from, and don't be judgy. So for me, that's how I would approach it. And yeah, if they're on the guilty side, unaweza fanya a little bit of confrontation. That's if they are comfortable, ama mko comfortable, mmejuana for a longer period of time. Come, my friends, I'll confront them. Hey bro, hapo ulichoa marada. You see, but that's for people you are really comfortable talking to in a deeper level, especially matters of the heart.
Okay, that was a beautiful segment, beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Sam. We highly, highly
You're welcome.
appreciate you here at Hearted Stories. Oh God, yeah, 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 yeah. This is our last episode for this season. I can see, hey guys, simungoje nionge, munani distract. It's not like the last, but for this season, I think we've done 8 sessions. I think so. We are honored to have you here today. It's been incredible, 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 incredible. And as I've said, this season we've had a lot of trauma conversations. We've had a lot of conversations around heart, around healing from heart. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can see. Let me shout out. I had seen Sharon around. Sharon is around. I had seen Abby. I had seen. Who had I seen? I had seen B was around. Those are our beautiful, incredible therapists. We totally appreciate you. Sam, we appreciate you so much for holding this conversation. We don't take it for
Okay.
granted. We don't take it for granted. Having you here for a whole hour plus, we don't take it for granted. And yeah, what else am I supposed to say? Let me tell you, goodbyes are usually the hardest part for me. Ending these sessions,
Yeah.
please, if you know how to end a live, nitafute, give me tips on how to end these things. But yeah, on a side note, so I see Kabalaji here, the Tabasamu concepts, and myself, we have organized a childhood event that will be happening on 31st. And the theme is just to, have a good time, enjoy ourselves, release those tensions and muscles. And we would love to see you there. We would love, that one has shocked me. Where is that coming from? We would love to see you there. We'll have games, we'll have TBT music. We'll be there. We'll be there writing those two beautiful love notes as always. So we'll be bringing love in the city there. So yeah, we'll be honored to have you. We'll have the poster on soon. Not soon, on after this live. So yeah, I think that's it. See you on the next one. I don't know when it is gonna be, but I hope it's gonna be soon. Maybe September. Oh, and you are turning 2 next tomorrow. Guy, Hearted Stories is turning 2 years. Yeah, that's also exciting. And if I continue, I will continue to yap. Thank you for the love. Thank you. Thank you, Hadriel. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Kavalaji. Thank all of you guys. Honored to have you part of this community. Honestly, I feel like this webinar means a lot to me. So, sending love, sending hugs, and yay. I don't want to stop seeing these beautiful things going up. Now, how do we end this? Yes, watu wakuje hangout. Kavalaji has said, we see you at the hangout on the 31st of August. Okay? Bye. Please let me end the live. Kuna discounts. Kuna discounts. Kavalaji, I didn't know about that. Let Kavalaji tell us about that later. Bye, guys. This is where we end the live.
Bye.
Okay, what was the end kwanza niwapee
Eh,
discounts. Tuko
Oh,
ngapi?
hey, there are
Tuko
discounts for the people on this live.
1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5. Wewe nini zako ni mbili. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's say tuko masaa sita. Okay, for anyone who wants to come. So the prices are 500 bob for, mtu mmoja, 800 for a couple, and then at the gate it's 700. But I could do 350 for anyone who is here and who wants to come. So I think Maureen, just get in touch with Maureen, or let me just paste my number here. Ndio pia iko easier if someone wants to kind of reach out, ask what is it about. Najua tumesema juu tu. Yeah. So yeah, that is the thing, Sasa. You text me on that number, then I'll share all the details. But I'll give it at 350 bob. So text me there. If you can't need the number, text Maureen, and then we will see you there.
Venue, Kavalaji, venue.
Venue is at Plug and Work. Iko karibu USIU. That's the easiest I can say. Penye USIU iko ndio hiyo venue iko. But I share clear directions. I share clear directions as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. If you have an event, by the way, please, this is a plug for you. But for now, can we say bye as we see you on 31st? The next, I can see Patience is asking when the next webinar will be at. Um, Probably the first week of September, because we only go for a break for 1 week. But I hope, I'm not sure. But yeah, see you soon, early September. Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. Take care. Stay safe. Stay loved. Stay in the light.